recording is live. Workshop.
Good
Hey,
morning.
I would like, hi. Hey, I'd like to send what we did as we mentioned for openQA and open. Topic for today is automated openQA test to verify a multi-machine. For this, I would like to show you. We have on openQA open.org in a little bit, and what you can see here. So let's take a look at the last repeated run. Have openQA and openQA test. This list of scenarios has grown quite slowly over time because for a long time happy with just 4 scenarios. Then we added another one which is integration. That one which multi-machine. It's single machine openQA test. This level still also. How could that be? Well, what we do there, still boot single machine. But then what we do is in one of those steps, and I assume our test worker have to check there. Yeah, so this is still a single worker. And then the next module, we try to identify, I think I make that bigger, but I can that later. So what we do, try to identify already existing action on OpenBug tumbleweed tests called ping client, and then you might imagine there's like a client and a server, so next to each other, and that's a and with this, when we identified that, then we are selecting a job ID of whatever is the fastest, the latest fast run in the error, which is ID, and then so we output it, and then we are actually cloning that's a multi-machine test cluster. Here you see that it mentions server and client, and we create those jobs in a nested environment, and then we actually monitor the run of that. So let's just jump to the end where we see all the log files. As you can see at the top, it says finished. Now I would like to show you the results which we log here. So what it's actually doing, and then later on I can now actual template scenario. So we have here the test results from this nested run. Like, so I'm downloading that, then yeah, I would like to open that in the browser, or I can quickly over here to my archive manager. So, and what you see here is that we are uploading the test results of this kernel scenario. And what you can see that we actually did both a client and a server run nested within, and you can see that a client and a server run had been. Now let me switch back to the browser and how the like. So let's go to test. Just look client, able to find this scenario. You can see that it's already multiple architectures for one latest run as of for the W snapshot that was yesterday. And in dependencies, hierarchy gating drop, and then ping, server, and client scenario. So that one also gated tested because they are already let's say a bit more elaborate scenarios around. You can put them just next to it. S, OLFS, salt, rsync, get, just and on. They are all testing a much more realistic customer scenario, but here we wanted to have a bit more simple one, which can also help in testing product quality, but also that's the main purpose for us, help us to ensure that there's sufficient quality in the test infrastructure that we provide. So how does that look like? What is done here is that a tumbleweed started, and then after start we set up multi-machine that we are setting a static host name for a client and a server, setting up those hosts, and then okay, concluding the relevant part is, for example, visible here, where we are doing a ping, and what is done here, it's rating over various packet sizes, preventing fragmentation. By that we can check if there's any problem with the MTU size restriction. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So hearing what's the limit up to 1,000 limit in individual machine running those. When we clone this scenario in the multi-machine test, what we don't cover there is communication with physical hosts, because run that scenario within one single nested, but still it shows that the general behavior is in. And one more thing that I wanted to show about is that if you take a look into the history, you can see there's an error which most likely will investigate today, but you can see that there's actually a run every hour, and if any of those would fail, that actually also what happened for this run is that we are receiving a notification based on, well, actually I can show this example. We have openQA investigate jobs which are triggered, show that we have a sporadic here, but at the same time, because this is a new unknown issue, so it's not a known issue where we would already have ticket reference, then there's an email that is sent out by OpenQA label known issue before. And by that we have an alert that we will act upon and investigate what's going on. So with this approach of having multi-machine tests better covered, know if there are any problems us in source code, or actually since we had been running that, we knew that there was no significant problem there, and that could help us whenever there are data in the past where we could select, well, we know from these tests that the general functionality is there and is ensured, so it must be something that is more specific to the structure. So that was already helpful, but also this can serve as a great template then to extend further. Are there questions or or additions or maybe ideas by any of you guys? Like not so far. And actually, I would like to show you, so how does that currently look like? What we are doing there, you can see that we have, let's start with the main run function. We have different paths that we can take there, and the one that we are interested in here is the full run. What this one does, trying to fetch the job ID for the latest client from openQA URL, which in the open and then we are calling a clone job, trying to clone that cluster in the nested internal array structure that is spawned as part of that test, and then that is this failed in this step, possibly because the clone operation itself did come back in time. So either openQA OpenSUSE org was not responsive enough at this time at all, or it was not responding enough, or there was actually a problem with the test where maybe the virtual itself was kind of slowed down. So this is why this did. The next step after starting this test, then we have a run function here, and I think it looks a bit more complicated than it is. The limited width of the screen here, but the tricky command is one here where we are looking up the latest results of ping client test, now not on the remote openQA OpenSUSE instance, but the local one. So now this is implicit for localhost. Looking for the latest ID where the result is not none, so the ones where the result is available. And if the result is available, then we are passing the result, else we look at the state if it somehow was cancelled, timeout. And then we are looking for past result. After that, we are removing the multi-machine bridge that was set up, and then uploading the logs and journal of the involved services. So the nested ones with, but also services that execute those jobs on the higher level. The setup of multi-machine in here, that's in a worker. Yes, the setup is actually just within order inst setup multi. So this is also an that we had over the past months. Before it was like bigger section the document needed to cover multi-machine setup, and now it's a simple script. So whenever you install a worker, that's done, for example, here, zipper in worker, then we are setting up authentication with a key and a secret. And then what we do is we are adding the tab class into the openQA worker instances in case of multi-test. And then we're calling the also setup multi-test. And after that, we're just enabling the worker and or actually the workers. One worker instance and a second worker instance. We only enable questions or addition at this point, right?
Could you go to the previous code list?
The
Uh,
details page.
uh, in the previous the open QA web you OpenQA worker, I think you were showing us. What you were showing us before, like a test that had like many inline scripts.
Um, po- Possibly then started where we look.
This one.
Yeah,
First of all, this is my first comment is and question is about the style. If you could scroll up.
yeah,
So you are the creators of the uh, of
the test code.
OpenQA. So it's interesting to see what your style is, and this style of inline code is quite different from what is
Okay,
in the test
yeah.
distribution.
So something like this here, right?
So, for example, zipper and in JQ would be a call to the zipper library.
That's yeah.
I assume you do that to minimize dependencies, or you just don't like it. You just try to do it like that.
Uh, Sorry, I didn't get that. So this is just calling zipper in JQ as any user would do.
My point. This is not significant for now. Anyway, I'll talk about it later. I see lots of OpenQA, OpenSUSE.org hard coded here. Is something done for OSD?
Um, openQA OpenSUSE.org is never hard coded. So for example, here it's just a default. So yes, you can run those tests on openQA SUSE DE, the other open just as
Do we?
well. You mean if we run those tests on
Yes. You don't
uh,
have to show them. I understand this is being recorded. I'm just asking.
um, I, I know that we are running, so let me show one example. I was looking up the ping client scenario, right? And that's actually also what we have on. So what you can see here is that we are running the underlying client and server just as well. And so it's actually not running the openQA and openQA tests here. However, so this is maybe a smaller outlook that I can give you, because we have an internal GitLab project that we mostly use for monitoring. You see that project, it only consists of a README and a GitLab CI. And what that thing is doing is, basically just checking out the scripts repository, and there's much more visible in pipeline schedules. So, for the same purpose that we are running openQA and openQA tests, the ping test scenario, we are also running the same scenarios again, but leaving out that layer of the openQA and openQA test, and running them both on O3 as well as OSD. And we do that every hour, and we do that also for monitoring purposes. So you can see that here as an example. We're running the ping client and ping server scenario. Yes, so it's basically this script, openQA schedule multi-mission ping test. And it's you can see here that it's similar code, okay? So we trigger the test, and then we look for the results. For that, we are using openQA CLI, and we parse the results with JQ, and we are selecting And actually, I don't even know why that is done. Does anybody know why we're looking for an HTTP? I don't know that. That's interesting. But anyway, what we're looking for is that those results pass. And if those don't pass, then the sky jobs fail and we get an email which we treat as an alert. So do you have like notes regarding a line like that with a JQ?
No, no, no. We need to know what's happening. What I was commenting on before is that the written out script in most of the test code here would be assert script runs instead of this.
Right.
That's
So what we do here is assert script run for
the
each
whole thing.
line. Yeah. So
Yes, I know. I'm just
every
saying
line.
that's yes. I do. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just highlighting. Oh, that's a different style.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, I would say it would look quite similar if we would just say assert script run this, assert script this, assert script,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
would be completely same functionality because in the end that's all in the same terminal session in the target system. Yeah. I think what's maybe noteworthy is that we are doing a bit more within the internal shell. For example, here we are saying echo job ID. Yeah. We could just, I mean, there are alternatives like script output, right? That's what the test API offers. At this point, I would say that's just, you know, variety style. It's different, but it's neither better nor worse than using alternatives from the test API.
That's all from me.
Yeah. But I would say if it, something like the need to escape quoting. For me, that's always something where it's like it doesn't look that nice. So in many cases, I don't know how to do it better because the alternative is that something is way more verbose and then also not. Then it looks more readable, but then it's just longer, so also hard to understand the overall logic. So maybe sometimes there is a better idea about how to do that. So yeah, if anybody has different idea on how to actually do the implementation, I mean, I would be happy to hear about it. So any other questions or ideas? Uh, maybe at this point, let me ask you, what do you think? What could be done next? Right?
I don't. So, are the from my view, multi-machine is working. The tests seem to
Okay.
work. Um, are there any fe- thing? To my knowledge, there aren't any features that or problem areas or bugs that you need to check, work around,
Yeah.
alert to. So you have tests from multiple machine to show that it's working, and what more is there to do?
Right. Um, I would have presented some other things in the last week, in the roadmap presentation. Unfortunately, I was sick there. But actually, I can now that you mentioned that, so thank you for that. I could um, mention two or more related things. So what uh, what we did is, for example, here you can see that we are already acting on alerts from that GitLab CI scripts repo. Whenever there are things that happened, it turned out that those cases were actually related to other outages, but it's fine. It was like just telling same like here was just telling. For example, remember there was an with openQA SUSE last Friday, and we could see that those test schedules that were so it was just adding more information to the same incident. Yeah, Anton, go ahead.
Could you paste the URL of the CI somewhere? So
This one, yeah.
yes, so that in case that we notice it before, we don't spam the channel like, oh, multi-machine is testing, is failing.
Yeah,
It was
sure.
caught, so
I
we'll know.
appreciate that. Take a look into that repository. Subscribe it if you like. Maybe it can help. Um, let's see what else was related. So yes, that one. So what we also have in particular for OpenQA OpenSUSE.org as well as OpenQA SUSE, there's that we are using a multi clustered connection tunnels between OpenAI workers. For that, in the past, we used the SUS STP, the Manning protocol, and then there's also RSTP, where R stands for rapid. And that one seems quite promising because whenever there are changes in the infrastructure, like one host going down, and then maybe that host was the crucial node in the communication, then it would take some seconds, maybe a minute, for STP to find out where the connection should be routed. And that seems working much better now with the rapid application of that protocol, kind of from the name. And that should also help to prevent further multi. Also, you can see here, this is where we actually looked in firewall D, which were reported timely related to multi. Um, it turned out in that case that those error messages already are unrelated, were already in the before, or could happen in other cases. Still, we needed to take a look. Then let's see. Then we have the already running simple ping check multi-machine tests. That's the one running in this GitLab CI report I shared. Then the routing. So this was about MT size. Yeah, Joaquin, go ahead.
Hi, Oliver. Do you have by any chance some ticket about multi-machine connecting from x86-64 to PowerPC and on ARC, so the other architectures?
Um, no, we don't. So in theory, that's possible. But right now, I don't think any such test clusters had been set up in, but you could. Have you observed problem with those, or do you think there's something?
Yes, so I'm thinking, especially for this Agama stuff, that maybe if it will end up being some kind of multi-machine that so running in a container will be only on the Intel side. So we will have to communicate with the other architecture to connect from that one. So I guess
Yeah.
we will talk about in the future. But just I was curious. It was
Yes.
any because in In OSD, I think someone told me that there was already something done, but was not working because the grep tunnel was not configured among different architecture. But I don't know in open source.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it could be that we actually enabled those for now. So that could be that right now there are only GUI tunnels within one architecture. And that could be, in any case, what you're describing theoretically possible. If you need that, and we can also help you to get that set up. On the other hand, one should always understand that, let's say, a simpler setup, as in staying within one physical machine, can always be more stable, right? Then there is this ensure automate openQA tests. This is the that we talked about, and yeah. And then I would just like to provide an outlook. So as let's see, where are we? Yeah, so automated openQA test. So the in the next week, led by Liv, we would like to talk about a bit more related to processes and how we work as a tools team. We would like to explain why we care about lead cycle times. And the week after that, and to talk again about multi-machine tests, but here about validation step and best practices for the setup and debugging, because we also added according hints in our documentation, which could also help you guys whenever you're setting up an infrastructure, but also just as well when you're debugging problems there. Maybe that can. With that, I would like to close the call. So thank you for attending. I'll stop the recording. If you'd like to hang around and stay, welcome to chat after that.